I'm recording, Denise. Go ahead. Denise, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now, Darcy?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Combined Campus Answer Hour for insurers, self-insurers, third-party administrators, and for EDI trading partners. My name is Denise Holmes, and I am a Senior Compliance Services Officer in the Compliance, Records, and Training Department here at the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. As resources for you all today, on this call, we have a wide range of DLI staff with expertise in campus and also with workers' compensation on our panel, including CRT Work Comp Program Supervisor Ralph Hapness, CRT Help Desk Supervisor Mike Solheide, and CRT Management Analyst John Brothen, who oversees EDI items. From the Minnesota Information Technology Unit, we have Andrew Kobrick, as well as campus subject matter experts Lisa Smith and Cheryl Sherbel. We also have Special Compensation Fund Supervisor Tom Hansen to field any questions involving Special Comp Fund. A few quick reminders, this meeting today is being recorded and will be posted for your access. Please also note that for audio purposes, all attendees should be on mute, so just type any questions you have in the chat box. Management Analyst Vicki Armstrong will be coordinating the chat box questions and will also be sharing some helpful campus links in the WebEx chat box for future reference. So you can see the agenda for today is brief, as we want to allow as much time as possible to focus on any lingering questions you may still have about the campus program. So as you know, release notes are written updates that are provided to specific stakeholder groups to inform them about known issues that were fixed in a weekly update to the Work Comp campus system. I just wanted to confirm that there were no release notes or updates specific to this group here for our most recent campus release update done just last week on May 13th. A few of the known campus issues affecting some functionalities that we are aware of and are working on include case-sensitive claim administrator claim numbers on subsequent reports of injury submission issues. We've also been unable to update those CACNs internally, resulting in issues in campus for some of the trading partners, and some sequencing issues on form submissions and EDI filings. So a couple of quick announcements and reminders. The next campus answer hour for our group is anticipated to be scheduled soon. So for updates about upcoming campus events like these answer hours and to access other campus resources, please visit the Campus Central webpage and the events workers' compensation link provided here. So now we will open the forum for our panelists to answer any audience questions on the campus system. Vicki, what inquiries do we have pending in the chat box?
There aren't any currently in the box.
Okay, let's give it a few minutes and see what comes in.
Okay. Okay, we do have one that just came in. Regarding CACN issues, when requesting JCNs, I'm being told the CACN is different than what I've sent. Can you tell me how the CACN could be incorrect when we haven't filed anything in campus yet? Denise?
I'll try and chime in with an answer to that. This is John.
Okay.
So if you're sending a new claim, brand new claim, that doesn't make sense. So you'd have to double back with us and try and clearly explain that it's a brand new claim. If it's a legacy claim that existed prior to campus, there's a good chance that there was a CACN when you're trying to send the UR. If they don't match, campus does a nightly run to try and update the CACN to the number that you sent that rejected on the UR. And so the next day it should be appropriately updated to your new CACN, so you should be able to send at that time. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Next question is, if the claim is closed in campus, will that prevent the assigned claims adjuster from seeing the claim on my claims list? Can this be fixed?
If no one else can chime in, this is John again. I'll try and answer this. I believe this was fixed, although I also believe there's another item that's been logged about claims adjusters' access to claims in their list. But the status of the claim should not affect their viewability. So if that's the issue, Tammy, please reach out to us and we'll try and get to the bottom of that.
Thank you. Another one that came in says, Mr. Johnson indicated last Friday that campus was having technical issues with NOPLDs, Noids, NOBPs. He recommended a workaround. What is the status of this technical issue?
So this is John again. I'll try and answer this. This is a complicated question and answer. So as everyone probably knows now, the NOPLDs, the Noids, the NOBPs, they really don't work the way they used to. What they are is they're just bounce back forms related to EDI transactions. So let's take the NOPLD for instance. It's essentially a document that's been created from an IP or an EP or a PD or an 04 transaction. It's basically like the first action on the claim. And then it sends back through the FTP if you're a full EDI submitter in the zip file. And there are a great many items logged upon the forms that generate from EDI transactions because there are issues with a lot of those. And so since campus has gone live, CRT has said that, well, if you're experiencing issues with EDI transactions and you know that your transaction was accepted and either the form is not really representing what you sent, or perhaps particularly with SX transactions that generate Noids, if the Noid form did not generate at all, then it's acceptable to use an old form to send to the employee as their notice of the activity on the claim, and then upload that old form to campus. That then goes with the EDI transaction. So that's kind of what the workaround is that when you're encountering issues with those bounce back forms, like, we all know that the payment segment and the benefit segment, they're not really showing correctly, they're not completed. If you need to attach additional information or use an old form to make it clear, that's okay, but then you just have to upload that to campus. So I hope that helps with that complicated question and answer, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Thanks.
Thank you. Another question came in. The Noid 3s are not putting staff phone numbers on. If we add this after we get it then service, may be considered imperfect. Is this a global issue, all insurers, or just an issue with our claims?
This is Denise. I understand that this is an issue that we are aware of and it is logged and they're working on fixing that.
Okay, and another question. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I have had several lately that say they cannot see the claim. it's assigned to them, but I noted it is closed in campus. I will reach out with examples. Thank you. That was from Tammy White. And then I do not see anything else in the chat box right now.
Okay, let's give it a few minutes and see if anything else comes in.
Another submission, if we want to combine multiple groups to one group under the same TPA, how do we go about doing that?
Is Lisa Smith on the phone? Lisa, is that a group management inquiry?
I'm not sure if that's exactly what she's asking. Is it more of an issue with the TPA group? I guess maybe a more specific, because I'm not sure if it's exactly for group management or if it's just on like locating your claims. So if you can give a little more information, that would be helpful.
So until we receive a little bit more direction on that comment, I will go ahead and hop to the next one. So to confirm, when there is an EDI issue, IT problem keeping the claim from being accepted, the examiner may file paper with all parties and then later upload to campus when available and still be considered compliant.
I think this is John. Ralph might have to chime in as far as any kind of penalty status, but that's essentially what we're saying is if there really is truly an issue like you're encountering a topic like the claim admin claim number where we're saying that an item has to be logged and you can't get your transaction through and it can't generate the form that's needed, that you can upload an old document and show us the status of the claim. And another thing to remember too, with a lot of EDI transactions, when you eventually can get around to doing the activity, in most instances, you should be able to get the EDI transaction to reflect what you did in the timely manner on the claim on your end. It's just maybe the EDI transaction was later in the claim than otherwise you would have liked to have had it.
Hi, this is Ralph. I'm going to take a shot here and don't hold me to this, but I would think if there were issues and you had it all well documented as to what you were trying to do and when, that would certainly be taken into consideration as far as any penalty review and issuing any penalties. So this is kind of new stuff for everybody, but again, just document what you tried to do, what didn't work, and what you had to do and after that to ensure that the things were filed properly.
Okay, hopping back to the previous inquiry, we were waiting for some more information. The IR indicates that they have 31 groups under their TPA. And this was the question, if we want to combine multiple groups to one group under the same TPA, how do we go about doing that?
Correct. So that is, I think, for the TPAs, requesting that all of their claims be under one entity instead of having all the separate entities for the different locations. And that has been reported as feedback to get that taken care of. So hopefully we'll hear more soon.
Awesome, thank you. If there were more questions with regards to that topic, go ahead and send us an email. We'll get back to you on that. The next question is, what is DLI's notification process when there are issues? Nothing was received regarding notice that documents were not generating as designed in campus.
Yeah, so I think the issue about EDI transactions generating or not generating great documents from campus is not, well, it's sort of a design flaw, I guess. It's not that they aren't necessarily creating documents the way that they were in the campus project intended them to. It's just that they're not ideal. And so the common example that everyone has probably heard on these calls before is if you don't have an actual return to work date on the SX transaction showing that the employee actually returned to work, the SX transaction will not create the Noid form because campus believes that the discontinuous web form applies instead of the Noid returned by the SX transaction. And so that is a little bit confusing, and it's one of the most common examples that we see where someone's looking for a form that never created, and it's because the transaction was not structured correctly. So there's a lot of things that we're looking to improve with the documents returned by EDI transactions, and that's kind of what we're getting at, and we're trying to be flexible with allowing people to upload documents that maybe better reflect what occurred on the claim, since you only get really one shot with these event level EDI transactions. There's no way to go back and recreate the document, if you will. So that's kind of where we're at. Thank you.
This is Bridget from Berkeley Risk. I just wanted to come off mute to address your response on this issue. This was actually an issue that I reported, and it was a PD. I am aware of the Noid issues if you don't put in the return to work date not generating a document. But in this case, it was actually a PD, a partial denial. And I've been filing these since November and believe that everything that was entered was accurate. And so then when it didn't generate, I was, concerned as to what else maybe hadn't generated that had been done. So that's the issue, not that the information was entered incorrectly, therefore not generating a document.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bridget. We'll definitely look into the PDs too. They should be creating that NLPLD type form. So when they don't, that is confusing. I do seem to recall a ticket being logged for that as well. Hopefully that's isolated. On our end, we're doing the best we can to try and get on top of those. The CB is also the other very common problem transaction that doesn't create the Noids correctly when that one's sent as well, kind of similar to that. So they're definitely to be looked out for, and we appreciate anyone's help when you guys can tell it. We really like it when you guys tell us when something comes back and it doesn't reflect what you thought it should have. It helps us with logging those items.
Lisa, there was one additional comment to the previous comment about TPA groups. It says, if we send them all under the same claim admin address, will that put them under the same TPA group?
I don't know. They will not go under the same group. It is actually linked to the TPA name and FEIN. And so if you submit a Schroy or a Froy and Schroy UR, and you submit it with your TPA name and FEIN, it should link to the group that has the claim should link then to that main group, TPA group that has that FEIN on it.
Any other questions?
I do not see any. Oh, here we go. Can you explain how when a shell claim is used? If an attorney creates a shell claim because it had not been reported to DLI previously, how does the claims staff see that shell claim? Once we do report the claim to DLI, how is the information from the shell claim linked to the actual claim?
Looks like Mike Solheid is not in the meeting right now. This would probably be a question for him to answer, since he is kind of the claim shell guru on these. So that will be one that we'd have to have Mike take a look at and respond.
Okay, the next question is, it would be so helpful to be able to search for a claim across all groups, not just one group at a time.
Thank you for that feedback. We'll take note.
The next question is, why is Dolly mailing paper documents? I thought documents were to come through campus now.
I'm not aware of what documents would be mailed via paper. Ralph, would you have any idea about that?
It might have to do with the information that would go back in the email. Our legal services staff has kind of reviewed the contents of the emails and the notifications going out, and they feel a lot of it might have contained private information. So some of the things may be mailed out rather than going out through the campus email system. And if you had some specifics as to what was being mailed out to, that might help pin it down a little bit more too.
Thank you, Ralph. Now this is the same IR that was talking about her TPA groups or TPA topic. What determines the different groups they're in if the TPA FEIN is always the same? Lisa?
Yes, Angela, I think we should probably talk maybe offline, and we can look at what you're seeing, and maybe hopefully we can kind of explain how the different groups work. Because you should have one main group that has an FEIN, and all of the other groups that you have are probably different locations that were migrated from our old system. So maybe if we can get together, we can kind of go through that with you and talk about how they're working currently.
Thank you, Lisa. And it looks like one more feedback item is that the employer as a filter option would be great, just a suggestion.
Thank you for reiterating that, Tammy. I think we've taken that feedback before, but we'll make sure that we share that again.
It looks like that is it for what's in the chat box right now.
Tammy, no worries. There is no broken record. We want you to keep bringing to us any concerns, ideas, any feedback that you have, and we'll certainly be the conduit and make sure that the appropriate parties get those requests and that information. So never worry about reiterating a concern or an idea. That's really part of the purpose of these answer hours. So thank you for your continued feedback. Vicki, do you see any other inquiries pending a response in the chat box?
I do not.
Okay. Does anybody else need to come off mute and ask a question? I'll give it a few seconds, see if anybody comes off mute.
I just sent a private message to John. If John, you wouldn't mind taking a look at it.
Oh yeah, definitely, Janet. I'll get in touch with you about that, definitely.
Thanks.
Okay, and it looks like Vicki has posted into the chat box some helpful contacts if y'all need to cut and paste that so you have it handy. if you have any further questions that come up. But since we don't have any pending at this time, I think we'll conclude this meeting. And thanks to everyone for taking time to join us today. Have a great day.